Well, it looks like you're in a better position or spot than I'm in. I'm stuck in the studio. Are you outside?
Yeah, I'm outside. I'm outside my studio. I can pretty much record and mix things sitting outside in the yard here.
It's quite the setup.
Yeah, man, it's pretty sweet. See, there's my mixed tree right there. I just I can sit up under that oak tree and listen back to my mixes. So it's a pretty sweet deal.
So it must be nice to be able to kind of escape, breathe in the nature, take a break. But is it ever distracting knowing that you've got that beauty just outside the doors of the studio?
No, man, it's just a way less there's just way less stress, you know. I work about half as many hours and get twice as much done.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, and I got an espresso machine right up the hill if I want to like ramp it up a little bit, you know.
How long have you had this set up for?
About 5 years.
Awesome. Is it complete, or are you continually adding to it, editing, changing this and that?
No, at the moment it's pretty complete, man. We spent a couple of years, like we put in the deck and got a little storage barn over here for the hundreds of guitars that are stacked in the barn. But no, this has been a fully functioning working studio for quite some time. I did the most recent Big Sugar record here in 2019. And I've produced and mixed all kinds of stuff out of here since then. I've worked with about a dozen different reggae artists, and Warren Haynes and Government Mule and the Cold Stairs and Ricky Paquette, all kinds of artists.
When you're recording other artists, is there much of a taking one hat off and putting on another, or is it basically the same hat, same mentality that you're into?
You know, it's kind of the same mentality to me. A mixing desk is just another musical instrument. You know, it allows you to, it has a lot more keys, but you know, trying to realize somebody else's musical vision is a big responsibility, but it requires the same amount of creativity. I think you have to take some ownership of it and treat it like it's your own.
Well, you're on the other side of the music realm, live on the road, June 10th at the Barrie Ranch, presented by Rock 95, Impact Live, and made possible by Brian Faulkner of Remax. Can you do too much of one side of the music biz before you're aching to do the other, or is it all the same to you?
I am ready to walk on stage with Big Sugar at this point. It's been enough sitting around. You know, the studio is always here for me, and I'll always have lots of stuff to do. I'm currently working with a band from Ukraine called the Cardinal Birds. They're sending me audio from places where bombs are dropping. It's whatever they can record on their phone, sending me the multi-tracks. It's an amazing project. I'm just trying to get to it as fast as I can for these guys. So you know, the stuff I work on here is pretty meaningful, but we just had a week of Big Sugar rehearsals for the first time in years, you know. So we're really anxious to get up and play and show everybody the new stuff, you know.
Quickly, how do you get connected to artists from the Ukraine, especially with what's going on over there? How does this come to be?
My mother's Ukrainian. All of her relatives and ancestors are Ukrainian. So I had done an interview. The bass player for Cardinal Birds did he was doing like a podcast sort of a thing, a live stream, interviewing different musicians all over the world who have Ukrainian roots. So I ended up on that list. They actually they took one of my photos, a famous photo of me with the double neck guitar, and it was in all the Kyiv subway stations the month the war started. So like what a horrible what a horrible thing. Now there are millions of people hiding in the subway stations, and you know, I got my face on a billboard there. It's surreal, you know. It started out as, hey, let's talk about rock and roll and guitars and cool things like that, and now people I know are struggling to just survive.
Could it possibly be serendipitous though? We just saw U2 doing the underground subway concert. Do you have any itch, especially with getting back on the road here in Barrie, but going across the pond and doing something similar like that, where your face is plastered up everywhere?
Well, I don't, I guess if you're U2 and you have your own Learjet and your own army of security people, I mean, you know what I mean? That's a sort of charitable thing that U2 can do that, that a roots rock reggae band from Austin, Texas we can't just roll into Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like
But
the president's wife can do that and Justin can go do that, but Bono can go do that. Not everybody can just go do that. So great idea, but maybe we'll wait till things
well,
calm down.
none of their faces are plastered up in those subway stations like yours is. So I think
because
that
they
would
are
give
not
you an advantage.
Ukrainian. Because they were not Ukrainian.
Well, it's a bizarre time in more ways than one. What's going on in the world, which is kind of fitting that this show at the ranch is going to be a benefit for mental health. Can you tell me about this cause and what it might mean to you on a personal level?
It's very dear to me on a personal level. We know firsthand from experiences with our own family members how helpless one can feel, and even the families, like people, you can really feel adrift and helpless. So any organization that's there to assist people and raise awareness for mental health issues and help people realize that they're not alone, that there's someone you can turn to, and there are alternatives to just living in your own personal hell. It can be very you can just feel like you're cut adrift on an ocean. So just to, like I said, anything we can do, and we have done. Even over COVID, we were doing live stream telethons for different organizations, especially when it comes to mental health awareness and getting people help. That's very close to us.
Well, it's cliche to say that music can be a healer, but it can also, depending on the style, accentuate kind of being in a bad place. So can you speak to maybe when you're down and out, is there particular artists or bands that you would listen to bring yourself out of a funk that you can say that music is therapy to me?
You know what? I think it has less to do with any music, even even really bummer music or like death metal can uplift people. It has more to do with your state of mind. It comes down to just getting in control of your emotions and channeling your thoughts more than. You can never totally defeat it. You know what I mean? It's not like, let's make all the bad things go away and just think about the good things, because that's not realistic either. And I think people get frustrated because that inevitably fails, and you can't thank or blame the music for your moods, because when you're in a good mood and you put on some reggae jams, yeah, you feel great, but no amount of great reggae jams can pull you out of a, if you're mentally unwell, you're not ready to receive any nice vibes. So we really we take it very seriously. We hope with music that we can just draw people's attention to all these things, and our entire last record, actually, most of the songs deal with that, just getting a leg up and just getting a better signal path going with your neurological passageways. Most of the songs on the Eternity Now record deal with that, because like I said, with our own family went through a similar time of trial and tribulation. So I just wanted to share it with everybody.
For those that are feeling the strain and the stress and anxiety because they've been in for so long, and they get to come out June 10th at the ranch finally to see you guys, hear some of the new tunes, but also see and hear the new ish lineup. What can you say to folks that are diehard Big Sugar fans, hoping for that authenticity, but also excite them about how it's a little bit new?
Well, it's completely new to the people watching. But for me, these are people that I have had very close musical association with, not the least of which Joe Magistro. We both worked with the Black Crows and with that whole camp, Chris and Rich Robinson, for years. So we've played together and made tons of music together. And he was just in a place in his life where, the Black Crows are back out. They've got a new band, and just got talking with Joe about, hey man, didn't we have great times on tour? And then thought, hey, well, wait a sec. Let's make music together again. Joe's wife is Kat Otteson, who's sort of a star in her own right. She's had an amazing career as an indie artist, great keyboard player, singer, super soulful singer. She's from Denmark, toured all over the world. She looks like a fashion model. She sings like a god. And she, just because her husband's coming out to try out, she's been listening to the rehearsal tapes. So she came out and adds an amazing texture to the band. But my favorite bit of news is that Gary Lowe, our bassist of, from the beginning of Big Sugar, and everyone knows Gary, if you've ever seen a picture of Big Sugar, big lion's mane of white dreadlocks, Gary Lowe, the lion, played bass with us. Then that's when Gary started to play bass with us, that's when it really became Big Sugar that people know and count on. And Gary passed from cancer a few years ago. And that really kind of derailed our train for a long time. There was a lot of soul searching and figuring out how and why we would continue. But over COVID, I got even closer to members of Gary's family, especially his youngest son, his youngest child, Benny Lowe. He's 22. He's a grown-up dude now, and he's a brilliant musician and very talented, and I've been encouraging him for a long time. And now he's old enough to have his dad's job. So he asked for his dad's job.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a walk-in for him. Like, he had to come out and really earn it. He's been coming here for over a year, working with me, learning, practicing, learning, playing. And now I'm proud to say that he's earned his father's old job in Big Sugar. So now I've got like the baby Gary Lowe vibes. But Ben is, in a lot of ways, I think he's a better singer than I am. So it makes us a real vocal powerhouse. Like, I've got these fantastic singers to sing and play with me. But just having, the whole thing, it's this whole family vibe that's interwoven through the thing. I didn't audition anybody. There was not like a casting call where 30 guys came out and tried out. It was never going to be that. It has to be more tightly knit than that for it to be Big Sugar. So I think people will be kind of blown away that you can hear Gary on stage with us.
Wow.
Through his own flesh and blood. Like, Benny's whole mission now, musical mission in life, is to carry on his father's legacy and breathe life into it, not just to play note for note what his dad played, but to really get inside the intention behind it. Man, I can't tell you how inspirational it is. And I'm just kind of pinching myself every day at rehearsal. But when I hear the sound coming out of the kids' amp, it's like a ghost was walked through the room. So I can't wait to share it with everybody. Trust me, it's going to be wicked.
You want to talk about serendipitous. You're giving fans a lot of storylines and pieces to be excited about June 10th at the ranch. So, it sells itself, especially for the good cause. So we'll wrap things up on a silly note. And with all that's going on in the world and the distrust in corporations like Big Pharma and Big Oil, especially with gas prices, I wanted to know how much of the influence of the name Big Sugar comes from the Homer Simpson skit when he becomes that sugar magnet. Are you making a comment on Big Sugar, the corporate side of the sweetener game?
No, that we came up with the name in 1988. So I don't think there were Simpsons yet. So
You'd be surprised.
No, it was more just a nod to the West Indian influence in our music. The band formed in Toronto, and where we lived and the people I played with, most of them were from the West Indies, Jamaica, Trinidad, Cuba, like all of these places that were, built on a mountain of sugar. And big sugar means, to me, it means a sugar cane, that's natural thing that grows up from the ground. And I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of colonial evil that that came with it. But it's not like big sugar doesn't have some consciousness of all that too. You know what I mean? So it's not a joke thing,
That's just the silly cynic in me with the times that we have. But
But
Gordie
I love me
Johnson,
some Simpsons. Yeah, no, I've watched all those Simpsons time machine things where they predict all kinds of stuff in popular culture. It's kind of scary.
first we get the sugar, then we get the power, then we get the women. That's Homer Simpson for you. Gordie Johnson, Big Sugar, June 10th at the Ranch, presented by Impact Live, Rock 95, made possible by Brian Faulkner of Remax. We cannot wait to see, hear, and experience in all senses what you guys got cooking up. Thanks for taking the time to talk.
All right, great to see you.